Okay, we're about to do some repairs to the Marconi 2955. I'm Ray, VK2ARM, also a technician. I've never touched the Marconi before, so this will be the first time I've opened it up. When I first got this machine, it was failing self-tests. But after doing some OM345 replacements, the self-tests have now working perfectly. However, the rotary encoder on the front of the Marconi is only increasing in values and not decreasing in value. So armed up here with, I'll just try and move some information around. Armed up here with my communication test set PDF, as you'll see here, ready to go, and the 2955 there, and it's this rotary encoder here that is only increasing in value. It will not decrease. Alright, we'll make a start on pulling it down, and I'll continue the video then. Okay, before I sort of get underway and go pulling this apart, I'm pretty happy at this stage just to run it through its self-test, just to show that it's passing all the self-tests and not showing any error codes. So if you go through there, zoom in a minute once it's finished, and I've only just turned this on, not even given it a chance to warm up, and yet they're coming out beautiful. So we're nearly done. So you can see all codes there have passed and there's no real issues. So let's return. Sometimes the button's a bit sticky, and let's have a look at our receive, and we get transmit. Yeah, it's been a while since I played with this to see what's happening. Okay, receive. Now, don't mind the screen flashing. I think that's just a combination of the camera and the screen here. My screen doesn't flash. If you have a look at the AV Gen, it is set to 1.5127 kilohertz. Now, using the variable encoder here, I should be able to adjust that. When I turn it clockwise, that goes up, as you can probably see. But also, when I turn it anti-clockwise, it still goes up. It doesn't go down, and there lies the fault. So it's this variable encoder we're going to check when we pull it apart and see what's going on there. So clockwise going up, anti-clockwise still going up. At no point does it go down, and I actually think whether or not I can bring it down. No, can't use the level keys to bring it down, unfortunately, and none of those keys there are working to actually bring it down. So unfortunately you'd have to reset it by putting in 1.5, hit the kilohertz, and then we've reset it again. So unfortunately that rotary encoder is not doing what it should do, and that's what we're going to look at adjusting on this set, or checking the components to make sure they're all working. Alright, we'll start off by undoing the screws on the top of the set, each corner, and possibly the bottom as well once I flip it over, but we'll do that and then I'll carry on further. Okay. Trying to establish to remove the handles here, I've gently placed the screwdriver underneath the cap on the handle here, and gently levering it, you can pull the cap out, and they'll give you access to the screws to take off the handle. Maybe even just the little screws for now, and leave the other section in place. Okay, by gently placing a screwdriver down the saddle, a flat head. By the way, to take the cover off, you need a number 2 Phillips head screwdrivers. and we're just trying to get on lined up with that tang there of the screw. You can loosen them off, and we're screwing them out of the case, so it may just do it gently. I'm trying to line that screwdriver back up again. It's definitely there. Trying to do it blind here so the camera can see. We'll just screw that out, and I've already done the other side, so it's only this side to go. Just trying to line it up again. There we go. Let's see. Now, when you do take this case off, be very careful. There's some high voltage, some high capacities in there that have a large amount of voltage on them, and probably will hold voltage for quite a while. So just try and keep away from those areas. They'll be noted by the danger stickers in there. Just trying to turn this around so I can see it a bit better. Okay. We don't want to strip anything at this stage. So, let's get some pressure on there. It's just nice and tight, hasn't been removed for a while. And we'll screw this out. We want the handle out the road completely. I mean, if you want to, you could set it up and leave it in there. But the job I need to do, I think it's quite a big job. And I'll actually need to get the whole front panel off. So, we're undone there now. We've done both sides. And just gently lever it out, and you've got that out the road. Alright, moving on. Okay, so having the unit up on its side now, we've undone the screws. Now, mine's only got 2 screws there, and looking at the feet, we may have to replace these feet. That one's cracked, this one down the bottom's half missing, the one up the front's cracked. So over the years they've taken their toll. So once we get the screws out, we can just take off that panel. Now the reason for getting that panel off is if we need to get to any of these parts down here, which we obviously will need to undo these screws to get the front panel off. There's several in here. So there's 1, 2 there, and several up the front to try and get this front panel. Then we just start disconnecting wires and whatnot to so we can get that panel off. Okay, I should say here at this stage I'm taking photos of step by step. It's probably a good idea so that when you go to put it back together you can double check where everything goes. So I'm getting some nice clear photos of all areas. Often might help when you've got different coloured wires and different connectors and so forth, and we can sort of see how they all go together. It'd be good to have those pictures just in case we need them at a later stage. So for now I'll do the back. I don't think I'll need it, but I'm just being precautious. Alright, we'll continue on. Alright, these screws here that are holding the front panel, I've taken one out of here with a bracket. The bracket looks like this. It's a sliding adjustable bracket. Leave the screws in there. By the way, I use a magnetic screw holder so everything sticks so I don't lose anything. But these little screw here are coming out. They're only tiny. Very small screws. I don't know if you can see them there. About a M3 or maybe M4. Now there's 2 on the bottom plus that one there, the bracket that I took out. Now moving round, we'll see it. Yeah, there's 2 on the front as well. So working here now, for this one I'm using a number, what am I using? A number 3.5 flat screwdriver. They're coming out quite easy. Doesn't seem to be any major drama with them. But that's all the screws I can see at this stage. But I have a feeling there might be some on the sides there, but we'll find out soon enough. Okay, now we don't want to upset as much as we can. We don't want to upset the tube in here, so I'm thinking about leaving that there and pulling it off around it. Looks like it, with a couple of clips taken off, it will just come off away from it. Now it's not feeling too loose at this stage, but I dare say we've got to remove all these knobs, all the bolts and screws behind them, so I'll continue on with that at this stage. Each of these dials here have got to come off with an Allen key. Now I've gone with SAE because of the age of the machine, assuming that it's SAE. So you've got little Allen key holders in there. Turn her in. That's a 1/16 size Allen key. I'll just loosen them off and hopefully they'll come off reasonably easy. Hopefully. I'll have to screw it out a bit more yet. Don't want to take it too far because we don't want them falling out. I want to try and leave them in the dials so we don't lose them. But we'll give it a couple more twists and see what happens. Alright. I don't want to take it out much further. I'll get a little bit of pressure behind there and see what happens. See if it's gonna, yeah, it's starting to come, I think. Maybe not. Jeez. We don't know how long these have been on there. Is the worry. So let's take it out a bit further. I'm trying not to pull them off. I'm pretty sure there's only one. Yep, there's only one. And before I did, I turned all the dials in the one direction, so if they've got line markings on, they'll all line up somewhere. So let's see if we can prise this off gently. Don't want to wreck them. Plastic could be quite hard given their age. They don't want to move, so I'm just going to investigate a bit further and I'll come back. Okay, that did come off. You can see the little screws on there. They were just a little tight, so once I loosen that off, I give it a twist and it did loosen up. I think just the fact it's been tightened over the years, it's just tightened down on the shaft there. So we'll wind that Allen key back in, I think on each of these, so we don't lose them. Last thing we want to be doing is trying to trace around for grub screws. So I'll wind it back in just until I'm ready to put them back on. Do not want to lose them. Alright, I'm going to continue taking the rest off. Okay, so I found the 1/16 a little tight, so I've gone down to a 1mm, which fits it excuse me, fits it perfectly. So I'm sticking with the 1mm one. Most of those have come off okay. We're just going to try and do the big rotary encoder now. Hoping it's the same size. Difficult to see down in there, but let's see what happens. Yep, feels like it's the same size. Okay, the initial crunch when it undoes. We'll just wind it off a bit now so that we can get to that and then get that encoder one off. Then we're looking at these nuts that are holding the front case on. There's one on the on-off, one on the intensity, and one on the one on the vertical position. I've yet to look at these and see what's holding these on. I have a feeling there might be some nuts on the back that we need to loosen to get those off, but we'll have a look when we get there. Alright, hey, rotary encoder come off quite easy. I was quite happy about that. So I'll just wind these back in so we don't lose them. Alright. Okay. Alright, I'm going to grab a spanner. I mean, looking at this top one, This BNC has a nut around it which could be quite easy to get off. I don't know how we're going to go off the end connector at this stage, and the BNC connectors. I'm thinking most of those are going to have nuts sitting in behind them, which are going to be probably a little bit difficult to get at. But we'll see how we go. We'll take these bottom nuts off first. Okay. At this stage I've only loosened that one BNC at the front. It looks like the others might come out with the front panel. Might be a bit of unsoldering to do, but that looks like what happens. Now the steel rails are joined. There appears to be no screws here, but I took the back cover off from here, only 2 screws, and there appears to be 2 screws in there, which I'll undo top and bottom and see how we go from there. Alright, having taken those screws out now, it appears that this rail right along here is all part of this. I've had a screwdriver under there and tried to prise it just gently, and it's all looks like one bracket. As I said, I've never had this apart before, so we're learning as we go. So it looks like to me like all these screws along the rails, nuts and bolts and screws, will have to come off on both sides in order to take that front panel, and then we have to go from there. So quite a big job, and I was informed that it is a big job, so but you never know till you try. Alright, we'll keep going. Of all the screws I'm pulling out the side, here on the top side, the top left hand side, we have this bracket. They have much shorter screws than the rest, and then we got some tiny screws on this bracket here. Alright, with all the nuts and screws, we're starting to get components come loose, so we've got to be careful. We've got this bit flapping around here, we got this one, and they've all got these pipes, for the want of a better word, so we've got to be careful we don't damage anything. This one's flapping around, but we're starting to get some movement on this front, and we need to get this front panel off. So next I think I need to tackle these straps that are holding in the tube and see if we can loosen that there, and then we'll have a look at all the switches down the other side and see what needs to be undone. Okay, the slot of this bracket fits in behind there, and the gap goes to the top of the radio. Now the buttons on that board down the bottom are starting to pull out. We're getting a bit of progress, so if I can get in behind there now and get some wires off, we might get this front panel off. All the screws are off. I've loosened these brackets. This one here, there's another one down here. It's slipped down at the moment. You can see it down there. They hook around these things, so they're just simply, the spring on here allows them to stretch to come off. I was a little concerned about this being wrapped around there. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll have to investigate that at a later stage. Alright, we'll keep moving on. Okay, I was able to then get the front tilted down enough to get this AF1 board out, and that's the encoder just there and all the buttons. So I've just been going around trying to clean it up a bit. It's quite dusty. I know I've got a blown sorry, trying to hold camera. I know this LED's blown. I've got to replace that one, which I will do, but I'm going to take the encoder off, undo the screws there. It looked under the microscope, I don't know if you can see that, it did look a bit crusty around some of the terminals here, so I'll have a good look at those and maybe reflow them again, and I'll check some parts, pull it apart and check the diodes inside, the LED diodes, look, and see how we go from there. Okay, there was 6 screws holding that board in, and I was able to undo them. What I've done, I was able to pull this front panel down and undo the 6 quite easily. I removed the ribbon cable from down here, And the other cable, which I've taken off the back pins there, you'll see off the encoder the pins there. It's easy, you can't get it mixed up because of the way they've designed the pins. And I've removed that from down behind this little capacitor down there where it says 1 PLX, if you can see it clearly. So they're the only two cables I've had to undo, and everything else is just sort of allowed to move forward so I could access this panel and get everything out. Alright, that's what we're up to so far. I'm just examining the board. I'm going to have a look at that encoder on here, pull it off, pull the encoder off, and have a good look at it on the AF1 board. Okay, with the encoder now removed from the board, whoop, get our board, hold it up, insert the hole through there, rotating her out. What it is, we have the encoder, the dial part. Now inside here is a disc. I might pull that apart and just show you quickly. Okay, inside here, so I get this gently prized apart. Might use my little separation tool. Okay. Right, take two. Quick swap of the GoPro battery. It went flat on us. Alright, so I was showing you the encoder, and if we separate it gently, now it has a locating dowel in one corner and another one in the other corner, opposite corner. Now it's important not to damage them, and you need to be very, very careful when you're separating this, because there's a disc in here, a very fine disc. And the way this works, you'll see the disc there. If I get up close, you'll see all the holes in the disc. Now, there's two very fine holes in each part of where the light emitting diodes go through. And I'll put that back together. You can see as you spin the encoder, those things spin around. I'll put that back together so I don't damage it. Two locating dowels, you can see they go together like that. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. Line them up nicely and squeeze it back together. Now I have pulled it apart, I put that out, and I've cleaned up the shaft to give it a nice clean. Now what happens on this little circuit board that attaches to the back of it, if you get up close, you'll see 4 diodes on there. 2 light emitting ones, I think are the black ones, and the light detection ones, or vice versa, are the white ones. Now I've tested all these on the multimeter, they seem fine, so I'm little of the thought that those tiny little holes where you can see there, they were blocked up, I'm thinking. So when you spin that, the disc changes how the light goes through there, because they will sit on like that. Let's turn it around. Okay, you see the 2 diodes slide down and lock into place. So they as the encoder spins, the lights shine through that tiny little holes that we're talking about, and the sensors pick up on the other side. Now that has this part around it as well. I've just left it off so you could see it. Now I'm sort of inclined, I have the spare parts here. There's a new one. I'm sort of inclined to replace the clear ones because they're gone a little bit yellow from age, and I'm wondering whether that's causing some problems. So likely I'll replace those, and I have got the black ones, but the black ones I've got unfortunately are a little bit thicker. I do have the black components there, but in depth, when you look at them side on, hopefully you can see that one is quite thicker than the other one, and I'm a little reluctant to put them in there. I've tested now, according to this, it was working in one direction but not the other. Now they're 90 degrees out of phase, so when this one's flashing, that one's not, and vice versa. So that's how they detect which way you're turning, by the light going through the discs when these are out of phase. Now I've tested these on the multimeter, they're both fine, they're both measuring up the same, and these black ones are measuring up the same, so I honestly can't see a problem with it. Maybe it was just dirty and it needs a good clean. I may still, as I said, I may still replace those clear ones, because the ones I've got are the right size. And I've measured the resistance on them and they're very, very similar. Actually, the new ones are measuring slightly higher in resistance compared to the old ones, but I would say that's due to the age of these other ones, and they're a little bit yellow, so maybe that's got something to do with it. So I'm likely going to replace those. When that finishes, as I said, that goes back on there. We have the black cover that I showed you before that fits over it, and it all screws together and holds in nicely, and I'll put it back on the board and then start to put it all back together and test it once I do. One other thing, there is this little white cap that sits in behind there, so that when that goes back on the encoder, this little thing holds that in place. You can see it would slide down and hold it in place, and once you do, you look down from the top, you can actually see the 4 holes where the diodes go down, the LEDs and diodes go down through the center, through each spot. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe I might try put this black on with one of those diodes sitting in place, or 2 of those black diodes sitting in place, and see how it sits. If it sits all right, I might swap them out. All right, that's it so far. To this point, we're just going to, putting it back together is just the reversal of the procedure of pulling it apart. So I'm not going to video putting it back together because I have videoed it pulling apart, and it's just the reversal. Okay, hope that helps you out. All good, 73s.